2 Chronicles chapter 18. Jehoshaphat had great wealth and honor, and he allied himself by marriage with Ahab. After several years, he went down to visit Ahab in Samaria. Ahab killed many sheep and oxen for him and for the people with him, and he persuaded him to go with him to Ramoth Gilead. So Ahab, king of Israel, said to Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, "Will you go with me against Ramoth Gilead?" And he answered him, "In time of war I am like you, and my people are like your people." And Jehoshaphat said to the king of Israel, "Please inquire of the Lord today." The king of Israel gathered the prophets, 400 men, and said to them, "Shall we go to war against Ramoth Gilead, or shall I refrain?" And they said, "Go up, for God will deliver this place into the king's hand." But Jehoshaphat said, "Is there not still a prophet of the Lord here, so that we may inquire of him?" So the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, "There is still one man by whom we may inquire of the Lord, but I hate him because he never prophesies good concerning me, but always evil. He is Micaiah, the son of Imlah." And Jehoshaphat said, "Let not the king say such things." Then Ahab called a eunuch and said, "Bring quickly Micaiah, the son of Imlah." The king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, sat on their thrones, clothed in their robes. They sat at a threshing floor at the entrance of the gate of Samaria, and all the prophets prophesied before them. Now Zedekiah the son of Chenaanah made iron horns for himself and said, "Thus says the Lord, with these you shall gore the Syrians until they are destroyed." And all the prophets prophesied in a similar manner, saying, "Go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper, for the Lord will deliver it into the king's hand." Then the messenger who went to call Micaiah spoke to him, saying, "Now listen, the words of the prophets with one accord encourage the king. Therefore, let your word be like the word of one of them, and speak encouragement." And Micaiah said, "As the Lord lives, I will say whatever my God tells me." Then he came to the king, and the king said to him, "Micaiah, shall we go to war against Ramoth Gilead, or shall I refrain?" And he said, "Go and prosper, and they shall be delivered into your hands." So the king said to him, "How many times shall I make you swear not to tell me anything but the truth in the name of the Lord?" Then he said, "I saw all Israel scattered on the mountains like sheep that have no shepherd. And the Lord said, 'These have no master. Let each return to his house in peace.'" And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, "Did I not tell you he does not prophesy good concerning me, but evil?" Then Micaiah said, "No, hear the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing at his right and his left. And the Lord said, 'Who will deceive Ahab, king of Israel, to go up so he may fall at Ramoth Gilead?' So one spoke in this manner, and another spoke in that manner. Then a spirit came forward and stood before the Lord, and said, 'I will deceive him.' And the Lord said, 'In what way?' So he said, 'I will go out and be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets.' And the Lord said, 'You shall deceive him and prevail. Go out and do so.' Listen, therefore, the Lord put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these prophets of yours. The Lord declares disaster against you." Then Zedekiah, the son of Chenaanah, approached and slapped Micaiah on the cheek and said, "What sort of spirit of the Lord passed by way of me, speaking to you?" And Micaiah said, "Indeed, You shall see on that day when you go from chamber to chamber to hide yourself. Then the king of Israel said, Take Micaiah and return him to Ammon, the governor of the city, and to Joash, the chief captain, the son of the king, and say, Thus says the king, Put this fellow in prison. Let him eat the bread of affliction and drink the water of affliction until I return in peace. And Micaiah said, If you ever return in peace, the Lord did not speak to me. And he said, Take heed, all you people. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, went up to Ramoth Gilead. And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, I will disguise myself and go into battle. You put on my robes. So the king of Israel disguised himself and went into battle. Now the king of Syria had commanded the captains of the chariots by saying, Fight with no one small or great, but only with the king of Israel. So when the captains of the chariots saw Jehoshaphat, they said, It is the king of Israel. Therefore they surrounded him to attack. But Jehoshaphat cried out, and the Lord saved him, and God diverted them from him. For when the captains of the chariots saw that it was not Ahab, king of Israel, they turned away from him. Now a certain man with good aim drew a bow and struck the king of Israel between the lungs and the breastplate. Ahab said to the driver of his chariot, Turn around and take me out of the battle, for I am wounded. On that day, the war turned. The king of Israel, away from the Syrians, remained standing in his chariot until evening, and at sunset he died.